Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your testimony, and thanks for being here. It's a very important study. As we all know, Canada ranks among the lowest in G7 countries for productivity, and a lot of the stakeholders I've spoken to relatively recently talk about how hard it is to attract capital investment. I believe even Stats Canada has had a report in September that said we have had the sharpest decline in our productivity in 3 years. Mr. Graydon, I was wondering if you could please outline again for us the scale of your membership, how many jobs, facilities, and what share of the grocery market they represent.
Yeah, we have about 350,000 employees in manufacturing. There's almost 10,000 facilities across the country. Our members alone represent about 80% of the volume. And this is a $114 billion industry, so it is material in regards to its economic impact here in Canada.
So last month you appeared at the Agriculture Committee and agreed that single-use plastics policies and front-of-pack labeling together could add $15 billion of costs to your sector. Are these policies acting as a tax or at the very least as an impediment to food manufacturing in Canada?
They're restricting capital investment, absolutely. It's part of that regulatory rigor that exists that just adds billions of dollars of costs. We have provided government with some potential solutions, such as digital labeling, rather than having to go in and actually change on a regular basis physical labels. So there are technological solutions to these issues, but they continue to change and they come at us fairly rapidly as well.
So what does that mean for grocery prices and for where your members choose to invest?
Grocery prices, unfortunately, some of the inflationary impact that you're seeing is an implication of the regulatory costs, the environment of a consolidated retail market in grocery. We're going through quite a transition of recycling costs in this country. Close to $2 billion a year is now on the shoulders of manufacturers to take on the responsibility of recycling in each jurisdiction or each municipality in the country. Those expenses weren't there 2 years ago. So you get billions after billions after billions. It's going to have a negative impact on affordability.
Does the single-use plastic ban risk disadvantaging Canadian exports, and would you say it acts as a trade barrier?
Well, it does, especially with the United States, who has no interest in single-use plastics. We have a particular member that sells single-use juice containers. The American retailers and American consumers will not accept paper straws. Now, fortunately, the government has allowed us to produce plastic straws for the purposes of export only, so that it's not impacting. But those are the sort of situations when you have our largest trading partner and our regulations aren't aligned, the implications can be quite significant.
So do these rules push production and jobs to foreign markets?
If we hadn't have got the opportunity for us to get a reprieve from government, it would have meant either the closure of this plant in Quebec or the repositioning of it into the United States. So yes, it does have implications on capital investment and manufacturing.
So you've also said that when you speak to FHCP members, you hear the same story. Canada's regulations are outdated, often inflexible and out of step with many of our trading partners, and that our environment is more, quote, prescriptive and restrictive than most competitors, end quote. So can you give the committee some specific examples of what that looks like in practice for food products?
Oh, sure. Let's use an example of fortified flour. Flour in Canada, no matter what the product, must be fortified. That doesn't exist in the United States, and it certainly doesn't exist in Europe. And while the additives in fortification of flour may be good for young consumers in bread, I'm not quite sure that in a chocolate chip cookie it is that important. Again, we have another member with a fairly significant capital investment here in Canada who was looking for the opportunity to be able to export to Europe, and because of the fortified flour issue, was not able to use that manufacturing capacity. Again, kudos to Health Canada, who allowed us to get a reprieve on that. But again, it's short term. And I think these are some of the things. Fortified flour, from a scientific perspective, isn't of any value at this particular juncture, especially across the board, and it is restricting our opportunities for global trade.
At the cost of investing and bringing products to market here in Canada, the cost of doing so outweighs the benefits. What does that mean in practice in terms of actual decisions for your members?
Well, there's a few things. One, the cost implications means that they're going to raise their prices to protect their margins. So there's an affordability issue. The other is really just a variety of products available to the Canadian consumer. As you look at products that may be mid-volume to lower volume, but they fill out a category in regards to choice, there's no hope of making any sort of profit. You sell those goods at a loss, and it's those types of things that are starting to disappear. So consumer choice is going to be impacted quite significantly. And
you did say that your industry is facing
very briefly, Mr. Gouin.
$53 billion of regulation requirements, and 23% of them want to leave the Canadian market?
Well, not necessarily 23% leaving the market, but reduction in SKUs and products that they offer to the Canadian consumer.
Thank you.